Hello, my name is Aine Mili and I'm an associate at Uriman Company Advocates. I'm a lawyer, I'm an advocate of the High Court, and I'm also a wife. And today with me is Marianne Nabankema. We're very happy to have you with us today, Marianne.
Thank you.
I'm going to give her the floor to introduce herself.
Thank you, Millie.
Yes.
And my name is Marianne Nabankema, and I serve with World Vision as a Senior Manager, Legal, Governance and Compliance. I am really happy to be here and would like to thank Millie and her team at Uriman Company Advocates for having us. And I would like to say that we prayed before we started, because that is a practice at World Vision. Wherever we go, even when we are out of World Vision, prayer is important. So just so you know. Thank you, Millie, for having me. I am a qualified lawyer and advocate of the High Court. I'm a governance professional licensed by the Governance Institute in the UK and Ireland. I'm a licensed trustee for retirement benefit funds in Uganda and several other things. I would like to express my appreciation to the team for having us and look forward to the very insightful discussions that we're going to have today. Thank you.
We're very glad to have you, Marianne. You guys have heard it from her. Her CV is serious. But we're very happy to have you, Marianne, and thank the team at World Vision for letting you be here with us today.
Yes.
So today we're discussing an interesting topic. We're going to talk about the funding challenges and sustainability of NGOs in Uganda, especially in light of the shrinking donor funding. Yes. I mean, we had recently that USAID cut off funding for very many things in Africa. Yes. And most of the affected persons were NGOs that are conducting different activities all over Africa. So how are NGOs how can NGOs diversify their funding in light of the donor funding cut? And then we're also going to reflect on what is the way forward for NGOs after they've cut the funding. What can NGOs do to make headway, right? So over to our discussion now. Marianne, please introduce your organization and what is their mission in Uganda.
Okay. So the organization I'm representing today is World Vision Uganda. World Vision has been in Uganda since 1986. We will be 40 years in Uganda next year. And we look forward to a great celebration of the lives that we've impacted in this country. The World Vision mission statement is the same statement across the world, because it's an international partnership of Christians whose mission is to follow our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ in working with the poor and oppressed to promote human transformation, seek justice, and bear witness to the good news of the kingdom of God. Now, that is the basis against which we do our work. We are a Christian organization that is very different from faith-based. It is a Christian organization, and we live out the Christian principles. I think, Millie, for purposes of this podcast, I just wanted that to be clear as we proceed. Nonetheless, we have been affected by the US funding restrictions, because we are a donor-funded organization as much as we have other streams of income. We work with partners who are strictly US funded, donor funded, and that has affected the way we are implementing our programs, and which eventually means they reach where we are supposed to reach to support the most vulnerable. We are unable to. In World Vision, our focus is on the most vulnerable child. So we have a very clear description of what most vulnerable means in the context of Uganda, and that is our focus. So Millie, you made mention of the landscape of the NGO funding in Uganda.
Yes.
Would you like to clarify that question again?
So my question is, what does the landscape of NGO funding in Uganda look like today, and how has it evolved over the past decade?
Okay.
Yes.
So Uganda saw an explosive growth in NGOs, that was from fewer NGOs in the 1980s to about 14,000 NGOs by 2019. However, in August 2023, the numbers had drastically dropped due to COVID. There was donor fatigue, but there's also loss of funding generally. And what does that mean? We really thank God that at World Vision we've been affected, but not to the extent that maybe other organizations have been affected. But we continue to pray that the situation gets better, because we work as a team. Yeah. That is what NGOs are about. We have one goal: to serve the most vulnerable people in their communities. Yeah. Now, the traditional donors like USAID and European agencies have started redirecting their, funds elsewhere. Just recently, there was a report that was released. The UK is reducing the donor funding to Uganda. 40% of the funding that was coming to Uganda is now being redirected in their defense budget. What does that mean? It means that we are going to face some serious implications as a result of that. Yeah. But also, there's been a rise of local and regional donors over time. So in Uganda, originally it was from the global north. That's where most of the donors were. Okay. But right now, we've seen a shift to regional donors. We have philanthropists who are coming in, and we also have quite a number of African philanthropists that believe in the several causes that affect Africa. Of course, there's been a digital move. There's that is its own story, and through the Uganda NGO Forum, they've been trying to ensure that the NGOs that are registered in Uganda align to that expectation. So there've been, some changes. We have other international NGOs in Uganda, like Save the Children, Danish Refugee Council, Care International, and others that are working with local NGOs to strengthen the cause. So through the localization agenda, we are able to reach the communities through the teams that are already established, because we are all looking at the same thing. With USAID scaling back, right now you see individual grants on the rise. That has been a major change in the landscape, and most of them are focused on farmers and youth, regeneration of the environment, and refugees. The refugee context keeps changing, but we are monitoring that because of Uganda's policies, which align very well with the refugee context in the world. I think we have the most favorable refugee policies in the world, so we keep having and hosting refugees from around this region. And yes, that is what I can talk about, how this sector has evolved over time.
Yeah, there's been great involvement, especially with the digital movement as well.
Exactly.
Yeah. So in light of that and the shrinking funding, what are some of the challenges that NGOs are facing?
Yeah. So now there are fewer resources, which means NGOs are fighting for a smaller resource basket. What that means is that the competition is high. It is no longer guaranteed that World Vision will win that. We have to compete with so many other actors, not just local, but international actors around the world and even in the region. There's a shift towards short-term project-based funding. So previously you'd have projects running up to 5-10 years. Right now they're very specific, and they address specific causes. So you can have a project for 2 years, and that's it. That means you can only deploy human resource for that period, and then you have to let them go in case there's no renewal or other opportunity. And that, it weakens institutional memory, but also renders people jobless, because we are operating within the same space. So there's a lot of intellectual, maybe should I call it intellectual property, available out there. People are qualified, but there's just no jobs to do. Most of the funding right now is not flexible, so you can only spend on actuals. Even previously that was the case, but there was some sort of elasticity,
Okay.
if I should use that word.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right now it's very strict, and you cannot have expenses that were not previously budgeted for,
Okay.
even if the policies in the country may mandate that.
Yeah.
There's also a lack of diversified funding sources. There are different opportunities such as local philanthropy, public-private partnerships. Those are not very many, and of course, even the skills that manage those kind of projects are not really there. So that is something that has to be developed over time. And while there's a push for localization, again, it is there's no investment, So most NGOs are not adequately prepared to manage the large-scale grants, even with the localization drive. So those are some of the things that I can say very quickly from the top of my mind that we are grappling with in the NGO world.
Yeah.
And World Vision is not exempt from these situations. We are going through it.
Yeah.
But we also believe that with God by our side, we are able to pull through. It could have been worse, but we pray that it gets better. And we're also working towards it. Yeah. Yes, by ensuring that we remain credible. Credible enough to deliver the projects that are assigned to us.
Actually, let me lead you now to just my next question of how I know that World Vision is a USAID funded organization, was previously USAID funded. Yes. So how did that affect your operations as an entity, particularly to you as World Vision?
As World Vision.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's with a very heavy heart that I say this, Millie. We started seeing the effects of these transitions once the stop orders were announced. And immediately we lost 150 staff.
Oh my God.
Yes. So, and that was on very, very short notice.
Yeah.
We have institutional ways, for example, handing over, even dealing with the communities where we serve, because we prepare them when we are transitioning out of the programs.
Yes.
But in this case, we had a very, very short window. And it was very difficult for the board and management of World Vision. It was also very difficult for the staff. We tried to make it as easy as possible, but in the circumstances, it wasn't possible. So we had to let go of 150 staff, over 150 staff. We had to reduce our scope in the refugee settlements because the funding dropped. So when you reduce your scope, that means the people that you're reaching, you can no longer reach them. Yes. They can no longer receive the food rations that are healthy and sustainable for their families. And yet our mission, like I mentioned in the start, we are working with the poor. So if you cannot fulfill a section of the mission, it is very, very challenging. World Vision has been the hope, is still the hope for many of the communities, because we work deep down in the villages. If you go in and around this country, very deep there, you'll find World Vision. Yes. And that is our catch. That is where we are. We identify and fully immerse ourselves in the communities. So now that we have had to pull out due to these funding cuts, it also strains the staff because they are very committed to their jobs. So that is what it is. And we've reduced, in fact, cut down non-essential travel. Any meetings that would be held in groups elsewhere right now are virtual. There's no travel except where it is required. So as the funding cuts come through, we are also working within the budget, to remain competitive in the market, but also to be able to deliver services at optimal level. So it's been quite the moment for World Vision and other NGOs as well.
So what lessons can NGOs out there learn, especially I know that some NGOs rely on single donor funding. Right. So what lessons can they learn in light of these funding freezes with UK aid, USAID, as for a way forward, really?
There are many. The first one is to consider local resource mobilization. in Uganda, where we are, we have people who can still contribute to these causes. We've seen it through, for example, the work that Rotary does and other institutions that are spearheading Ugandans, to push for these things. So through local resource mobilization, we are able to, NGOs would be able to get some money, to be able to do the work wherever they are and getting the money from Ugandans through Ugandan initiatives. What that means is that NGOs have to be really thinking out of the box because it is no longer an issue of sitting down and writing proposals. You have to identify the need and make sure that the people identify the need that you think you see. So there's a lot of work. It's ingenious in a way, but there's also a mindset shift for the workers, even in the NGO world, to know that things are different right now. One of the other things, the other lessons, is to ensure that you build financial reserves.
Okay.
Because once the donor funding is out, you can very easily close shop.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, if you're not being very financially sound.
What are some of the financial reserves?
Yeah, build some financial reserves. Save where possible. Do not have expenses that you would not normally incur if you are actually getting that money from your pocket. There's a lot of contractual engagements that happen with suppliers, and these are suppliers of goods and services, banks, institutional, agents that we work with. There's need to review those contractual clauses. For example, the contractors work in the same context, so they are fully aware that there's no money. So there's need to check and see where you can save, and work with contractors that align with the missions, because we are working within the same economy.
That's true.
We are not independent, and it's getting worse as we go. I can talk about investing in strategic planning.
Okay.
We can no longer think about the now. We need to plan even for the next 10, 20 years. So those are some of the lessons that have come through for NGOs, really, because it's no longer short-term planning. Long-term planning ensures sustainability and survival. But most importantly, they need to advocate for enabling environments.
Okay.
Yeah, and this can be done collectively because once the spaces, legally, policy, political, all those other aspects have to be taken into consideration. And if that enabling environment is available for operation, I'm sure that we'll be able to reach our goals.
Yeah.
Thank you, Millie.
Thank you, Marianne. And I just want to understand as well. So, in light of what you've just discussed, are there policy-related challenges that are complicating NGOs' ability to access funding in any way? Yes.
Yeah. For this one, I'm going to make reference to my notes because I wrote a few things down.
Yeah.
NGOs encounter excessive scrutiny.
Yeah.
For example, if you apply for work permit, there are delays there, and that means you cannot work because you'll be working illegally. There are delays in MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, approvals, at the districts because it's a requirement to have those MOUs, before you operate.
Yes.
So those delays mean that you cannot implement in those districts, even if you have planned and budgeted. So in some areas, you have to incur costs, so it's the administrative burdens of getting these MOUs signed, makes it very difficult sometimes. Thankfully, the law on anti-money laundering was revised, so NGOs are no longer and no longer accountable persons. Yes. And that was also really strict. But now that has been removed, it lessens the burden. But while it was happening, it was quite the thing. Different compliance standards apply in different districts. So there's that inconsistency. And if you're supporting, in Uganda, for example, we work in over 54 districts or over 44. I will clarify that. So we have a very wide coverage, but each district has their standard operating procedures. So because of that inconsistency in application, sometimes it's difficult to really implement. Then there's been pushback against proposals from, centralized NGO fund, which many organizations argue could compromise their financial independence. So that is also one of the things. The other is foreign aid disruptions. We get those changes almost on a daily basis because of what's happening in the global north. So you have to make adjustments almost on short notice, Yeah, and of course, lack of digital infrastructure. You have to file these documents in some districts in person. And that means you're employing a human resource to do just that. And yet you could have used those resources to implement something elsewhere. And key policy documents are not readily available in local languages.
That's true.
Yeah, so
and we have quite a variety of local languages in Uganda.
So wherever we work, those are some of the challenges. And that means, you can't translate a document that you didn't author. Because, for example, the law, you can only help the people understand in the best way possible. So that means hiring translators and extra help to get that done, so that the community is able to understand that you're working within the required confines. And it's not as easy as it seems. But maybe one more thing I can talk about. Foreign exchange and taxation constraints. Because of the banking sector that is highly regulated, those restrictions happen. We have seen cases where bank accounts are frozen for other NGOs. And then the transactions are also really scrutinized. So sometimes there's a lot of work that needs to get done to be able to expand on the projects, and that causes delays. I think that's what I can talk about.
So what have you done as World Vision to diversify your funding sources, especially due to the donor funding that has been cut?
So I will still go back to the fact that World Vision is an international partnership. It is locally registered in Uganda as World Vision Uganda. However, because we are an international partnership, we have the opportunity to seek funds elsewhere. And that has been a blessing in many ways. Although locally, we have collaborated very, very strongly through the public-private partnerships. We've collaborated with Sanlam Uganda, Absa Bank, Britam Foundation, and within World Vision, we have mobilized resources to support key initiatives. And these initiatives are in water, sanitation, and hygiene. We have a Padero Education Strengthening Project, where we have invested at least 670 million in local schools. We also have menstrual hygiene management in Karamoja, which is funded and supported with over 200 million Uganda shilling. We've also funded through local partnerships, environmental conservation initiatives. So that is how we are trying to work, and you can see the portfolio is largely Ugandan institutions. So we identify with institutions that would like to partner with us. And we are willing to work. In fact, I will make this call very boldly on this podcast for the organizations, organizations that are aligned with the vision and mission of World Vision. We are happy to collaborate, and we will fully account for the funds that you provide to us to the last cent. So when we reach out to the different foundations and different organizations, we request that you open the doors, because we are doing this for Uganda. We've also partnered joint ventures. We've co-funded multi-year projects. For example, we have the Spring Project, which ended in 2024, funded by the European Union. This initiative empowered refugees and host communities through economic development You know, when the refugees come into a society, the society has pressure because you're using the same resources.
That's true.
So through some of these projects, we supported nearly 1,000 groups with grants and loans,
Okay.
you know, to kickstart their lives. We also have the Regreening Communities Project, which is going on until 2027, supported by the Australian government.
Okay.
This promotes climate smart agriculture to enhance food security. So those joint ventures, again, like you can see, they are targeted to specific causes and they are working well. We also have enterprise development grants. We've facilitated the development of those and we've empowered small businesses in different areas. We've had projects even in Uganda, you know, before COVID. In Kampala, we had a project running for scaling artisans, local artisans in Kampala, in collaboration with the KCCA.
Okay.
So we've been thinking out of the box for a long time. It's just that, you know, it's more apparent now than it was before.
Yeah.
But it's something that we've been doing very, very deliberately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how then can NGOs leverage local resources?
Yeah.
For instance, government partnerships and community contributions to reduce on the reliance and dependence on foreign donor funding?
Yeah. That's an interesting question because when you hear about NGOs, you think, okay, they must be funded.
Yeah.
So we need to reduce that reliance on donor funding. We need to be ingenious and have original ideas for our context and our country, Uganda, because we are fully aware of the things that affect us in Uganda. So as NGOs, we need to be more proactive and reduce that donor reliance. We should be able to outlive the donor funding that's given to us. That sustainability is something that we need to be very deliberate about.
Yeah.
I speak that very passionately because, you know, we need to change the trajectory.
Yes.
That's what it's been for a very long time. And we've gone through different situations that have actually opened our eyes. We cannot remain the same. We need to invest in digital. That is the way forward.
Okay.
And we also need to empower the people who are working in those systems to know the outcomes, to use that data to inform programming.
Okay.
We need to adopt the use of AI, that's artificial intelligence. It has come through. And those innovations are supposed to help us work better, make life easier. And I think as NGOs, we need to take charge of those things. I mentioned community saving groups. You know, we use that very much in our programs. It's very deeply ingrained from the family.
How do those operate?
So you get groups of families in an area.
Okay.
Let me give an example. Where do you come from?
My village home is Kashambia Chichuchwe.
Chichuchwe. So if we get 5 families in Chichuchwe, and their problem is that they don't have money, just that. So you get the community, 5 families. We believe very strongly in the family model at World Vision.
Yeah.
Because family provides stability for the children, the community, and even the adults in those communities. So if you have families coming together in Chichuche, you get them to identify the problem.
Okay.
Is it lack of income? What projects can be done to ensure that the communities have money, are able to trade even outside the community, are able to provide through getting that money a balanced meal for their children. So what this does, it gets communities to build resilience. Those households, you know, they are accountable to each other and they're able to fund their development priorities even after World Vision is long gone. So World Vision works on a sustainability model. We ensure that the places where when we live, normally we've been operating, by the way, in communities for long periods of time, but now we're only going to be operating for 10 years. Okay. And that's quite long. That's a major investment.
That's true.
We'll be transitioning a few of the communities next month. This month, today is 1st August. Yeah, so also our projects are designed to align with Uganda's Vision 2040 and the district development plans. Because this ensures long-term sustainability and local ownership.
Okay.
But it's also supposed to remove that divergence,
Okay.
you know.
Yeah.
So if we are aligned to the district development plans, then we work with the district, not the district to work with us. Uganda's Vision 2040, that means the strategy of World Vision is aligned, you know, so that we are not operating on our own,
Yeah.
you know. The programs are aligned to what the government expectations are because we work in a regulated environment. Even up to the district level, we are deeply involved in the district budgeting processes as well, because we need to be able to align our resources. You know, you can't have 6 NGOs doing the same work in the same district. That's duplication. So once you're in those district engagements, stakeholder engagements, because there are several levels at the district, then you're able to find out what the priorities are and plan together. Because we are not, World Vision does not work in a silo. We work in partnerships. Yeah. Then we have the mixed savings and development clusters. So by integrating the refugees and the host communities, remember what I talked about, into shared groups, you know, they are able to have this social cohesion and inclusive economic growth, both for the host communities and the refugees. And those models work really well because that synergy is very important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Marianne. So that leads me to my next question.
Yes.
What role can technology or digital fundraising platforms play in helping Ugandan NGOs reach funding streams?
Yeah. I will take an example. Are you with MTN or Airtel?
Airtel.
So Airtel has Airtel Money.
Yeah.
MTN has mobile money. There's M-Pesa for, you know, the other platforms. So NGOs need to embed those platforms into their daily operations because at the beginning we talked about getting money or resources locally. So when people are fundraising, those are easy. They'll pick out their phones. And statistics have showed that in Uganda, there's a certain percentage, which is quite big, of people who have mobile phones.
Yeah.
Actually, even without the, what do they call those phones? Smartphones, you can still load money. So it's not so much how much you're loading. It's are you committed to the cause? If someone sends you 1,000 shillings every week, that is quite a sum of money.
Yeah.
So NGOs need to embed those payment systems and into their websites and campaigns, because it's also promoting accessibility. You're able to reach anyone who doesn't have a bank account, for example, and they're interested in the cause. They'll make those payments. There's a lot of social media fundraising. There's Instagram, there's LinkedIn, there's Facebook, which is banned in Uganda, but it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
So NGOs can run targeted campaigns on those platforms to be able to fundraise, you know, for resources. There are emails and SMS campaigns that continually, you know, remind people if there's a fundraising going on. You just keep using those platforms.
Yeah.
Of course, there are crowdfunding platforms that are globally recognized, like Global Giving, GoFundMe.
Yeah.
Those are really used. In fact, for Gen Zs, a GoFundMe would work perfectly because they do that a lot for their private and social causes.
Yeah.
The last one I can talk about is the donor management systems. Donors have systems where they have tools, you know, like Salesforce, Nonprofit Cloud, that help NGOs track donor behavior. They automate communication and optimize fundraising strategies. So as NGOs in Uganda, we really need to tap into this digital wave that's happening. We have several platforms. They've already been built, but we need to use them deliberately and also use them well. Because if they're not used well, the regulator will come and shut them down. And that will not be to our benefit. So it's a very deliberate effort to ensure that everything works well for good. Yeah. So when you combine the grassroots mobilization with digital innovation, surely it will change the trajectory of NGOs and how they operate in Uganda. Yeah, that's what I can say. Yeah.
I hope that NGOs out there have taken notes.
Hope so.
So now, how can those NGOs balance maintaining their mission-driven focus while adopting to the new funding realities that we're facing right now?
Yeah. You know, there's something called mission creep.
Okay.
NGOs need to continually revisit the reason why they were established. It is very, very easy to go off your mission. I like the very first question you asked, what the mission for World Vision is. We revisit that. If you went to our offices where you've obviously been, we have our mission statement, vision statement, core values, everywhere you go, you know? every corner of the office, because we must remain grounded. You know, you need to know what you stand for, because if you don't know, then you will take on anything. So that is a call I must, you know, resound to NGOs to remain grounded. This is a season. It's a tough season, but we shall overcome. Will pass. Yeah, it will pass with prayer, with hard work, and also adapting the available opportunities. Yeah. So that I must re-emphasize the issue. NGOs need to revisit why they exist and why they serve. In fact, the law requires that if your mission changes, you're supposed to inform the NGO bureau, because that's not what you registered at the very first point. And I'm sure they would also be wondering, okay, depending on the variance, they would wonder, are you here for the money, or are you here to serve the communities like you said you would? So there's it's a good level of accountability, just so our priorities are made clear. And also, rather than chasing every available opportunities, NGOs need to assess whether the opportunities available fit. It's okay to say no. It's okay. While it may seem difficult, and I'll look directly into the camera now, while it may seem difficult to say no, you need to say no if it doesn't align
with your mission.
Another opportunity will come, because that's just what it is. You just need to do your work well. The third one I can say is to mix. We talked about different ways of doing work. You know, you have grants, you have partnerships, you're working with local partners, you're working with global partners. It has to be a mix. You cannot solely depend on one donor, as what was the case previously, because we've seen what that has done. So it also requires a strategy. We need to think long term. We need to know the goals as to why the NGOs are established, and we must remember that even the environment has to be enabling, but also I urge NGOs to be compliant with the law. It is very, very important to remain compliant with the law, whether you want or not. In fact, it's not optional. I urge NGOs to remain compliant with the law, because then we'll be able to collaborate and also put forward our needs in a more organized way if we are compliant. You cannot seek a remedy if you're also not aligned. That is a kind call. Really, thank you.
I hope they've had. Remain compliant. So what advice would you give to a smaller NGO, like a newer NGO that's just coming up and they're just trying to navigate these new funding things? You've come, you know that there are these particular donors who we can go to, the go-tos.
Exactly.
But now you're finding, they have cut funding.
Right. So the newer NGOs, in fact, have a good opportunity. Because they have an opportunity to partner rather than to compete. Yes. Because the basket has become very small, and the number of players remains the same. So the smaller NGOs should consider partnering rather than competing. That is, as the first point of contact, because it helps you build networks with more established organizations, and then you're also able to align your operations. it's actually a learning opportunity.
That's true.
That would be great for them to take on. I cannot overemphasize the building of strong governance and compliance systems. Nobody will want to deal with an NGO whose governance is in question.
Yeah.
So we've just talked about aligning with the law, complying with the law. Everybody that is partnering right now with any organization ensures that they're registered and registered well.
Yeah.
So that is, you know,
True.
very critical.
And they have their permits and
Yes,
everything.
they have their permits, and thankfully, Orimaco, those are things that you do on a daily basis.
That's true.
Yeah.
Kalango.
It's important for the NGOs that are listening out there.
Yeah.
Orimaco is a trusted advisor. We've been using their services, and I must really commend them. They will walk you through, and if you need, you know, any additional help, they'll be able to reach out to us to provide any support that will be provided. But it's also important for the NGOs to be clear on their mission, what we just mentioned, to avoid mission creep. Be clear on what you want to get done, and have a strategy and a funding plan and a risk management plan. It seems like a lot, but it is important. Yeah, it's very important. Leverage the use of digital platforms. Right now, people are no longer printing. They are no longer leaving handbooks at the receptions. You know, everything is digital. You scan and get that information. Be transparent and accountable in your operations.
Emphasize.
Yes. Every donor, every partnering organization wants to work with someone who's transparent and accountable. Have your books in order. Where you have challenges, make them known. Because when you keep quiet, it's difficult to be supported. Yeah, so you know, there's a lot of, maybe one final thing is to understand the donor language. There's a language there.
Explain.
Yes, you have to be able to invest in writing very good proposals.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, on top of writing good proposals in good language that is understood, but also the skills that of the people working within that NGO must be actual skills. Someone should be able to read, communicate well, because then the donor will be able to understand what you need. Remember, when they're reviewing the proposals, you're not in the room, so your document has to be adequate enough to speak to, you know, what you want. I would urge new NGOs to look into local fundraising. Look at the communities where you are. There are resources there that you can use to further your mission. Yeah, I have some thoughts around that, but I believe that as Ugandans, the buck really, you know, stops with us. We know our context and we know the opportunities that are available here. We have the expertise in the market. We need to make use of these opportunities. Yeah, to be able to move forward. Yes.
So, looking ahead,
yeah,
what policy changes or support mechanisms would you recommend to enhance sustainability of NGO funding in Uganda?
Thank you, Mary.
A way forward for the NGOs listening.
Yeah, we need to streamline our regulatory processes and also make use of the digital arrangements, you know, and this would reduce admin burdens. We made mention of that. Once the NGOs are using these platforms, it's even easier for the regulators to monitor operations. So once that is streamlined, it would work well. We need to also consider access to these exemptions as provided for by law.
By the law,
yes, because if you're fully, if you're an NGO, there are some exemptions that are available by law, but they are not as easily accessible. So this is a call for the people in charge to consider, you know, accessing. I would talk about introducing tax incentives for local philanthropy, where the philanthropists are given some tax waivers, as it is elsewhere in the global north. If you're investing in an NGO for providing money, you have some tax incentives.
Okay.
You're not taxed the same way as somebody who doesn't. Then to enable, I would want to encourage local NGOs inclusion in the service delivery at the community and district levels. NGOs are partners, and that is to say NGOs are here to complement what the government does. So it is important that that is at the back of the minds of the policymakers and the regulators. But I would want to propose a shared platform for NGOs, where they'll be able to report on funding impacts, available partnerships.
Isn't that part of the mandate of UNG, the UNG?
The NGO forum? Yes, but it needs to be strengthened because they're indigenous NGOs.
Okay.
There are categorizations, but if we are looking at this thing collectively, we need to find solutions that are fit across. So an NGO in Kichiche, should be able to access the same information that World Vision is accessing.
That's true.
And in that way, it provides accountability, and it also enables the NGOs on the ground to be able to learn from these organizations that have been in existence for over 90 years worldwide. Surely there's something that World Vision is doing differently in this world to have survived all this time. And in different countries, in different contexts, because it's not guaranteed that wherever you work, it will be easy. Lastly, I would recommend fostering dialogue between NGOs, governments and donors, so that our priorities are aligned. The purpose really for this is to ensure that no one is left behind. Even the communities we serve, those are our stakeholders. In World Vision, it's the most vulnerable child. How are you bringing this child into the discussion? Is the child physically in the discussion? Yes, bring them, because they know exactly what affects them. When the adults sit, they may not identify with that problem. At World Vision, we involve children at all decision-making levels. You'll go to the district, they'll be there. In the boardroom at World Vision, they will sit in the boardroom. They'll sit with the senior leadership team. They'll sit with staff. The child is a constant, because that's the person we are looking to impact. Many times, that person can talk about their problems better than the adult who's observing. So at World Vision, the child, the most vulnerable child, is the center. That is the center of our operations, and you will find that child represented even globally, where we have global meetings. The children will go and talk about the issues that affect them, so that they represent the other children that they've left behind. So it's very, very deliberate. It's a very, very deliberate move to have the stakeholder who's concerned to be a part of these conversations.
Wow.
Thank you, Millie.
First of all, I want to commend World Vision for the work that they're doing. Very well done.
Thank you.
And for the impact that you're causing in the communities that you are serving. I know that I've seen World Vision on the way to Ishaka. I've seen it in so many places. You just see the Kapande, World Vision.
Yes.
So you're doing your best to reach out to most of the communities in Uganda. So that's a good thing. And thank you for the discussion today. I think that it has impacted so many NGOs out there. I hope that the key points were taken.
Yes.
Please be transparent, reevaluate your missions, and use all the available platforms. You can also tap into local resources for purposes of funding your organizations. And there's so much. This discussion has been resourceful, I believe, and pick out a thing or two and implement it within your organization. Thank you for listening. And
can I make one final request?
Yes, please.
World Vision has a local resource mobilization team, and we are actively seeking collaboration and partnership with individuals, institutions, and organizations to fundraise locally in Uganda. We call upon you to join us in this cause. It is a very deliberate cause that we've been working on for some time, and you'll see as we go along the different opportunities to partner with World Vision, and of course now that I'm here at Orimaco, I'd like to invite you to partner with us
Okay.
in our local resource mobilization drives.
I shall speak to the big boss.
Yes, because we are here for the long term.
Yeah.
We're here for the long term, and we're here to impact this country.
Yeah.
Thank you, Millie.
Very well done, Marianne.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you for the time that you've spared to come and be with us today.
Yeah,
We appreciate
thank
all
you.
the insight that you've given us, and
you.
also to the NGOs out there. And I'm positive that they're going to be positively impacted. I've used the word positive twice.
Yes.
So yeah, you've heard it from the Orimaco podcast, and we hope that you will tune in and watch out for the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.